Hey everybody, it's Romania Black. It's been a while since I've talked about Haikyuu, but so if you haven't been keeping up with Haikyuu lately, they recently announced that for the 10th anniversary of Haikyuu being around, that Furudate was going to release chapter 402.1, a little extra 20-page one-shot after the events of chapter 402, and so as soon as they announced it, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna have to react to that. But my relationship with Haikyuu, it's honestly been one of the more constant things since the pandemic. I started reading Haikyuu back in 2019. It was before shelter in place and COVID and all of that had really been in full swing. But I was just starting to get back into manga and anime. I had taken so many years off because of college and work and everything. And back in 2019, I was like, I'm going to start reading, some manga and anime again and watching it again. So I watched Yuri on Ice. And I had a student tell me about Haikyuu, and I was like, I'll watch it. And so I watched season 1 and got addicted. And so I watched season 2 and season 3. And then right at the start of 2020, when season 4 part 1 came out, my brother and I watched that together. And I was like, oh, this is so awesome. And then I started keeping up with the weekly chapter updates. Right around the time of chapter 362 is where I had started keeping week to week. What a time to start doing week to weeks, right? Fun times. But after that, like when the pandemic started and we were working remote and I was stuck at home, Haikyuu was one of those things that really helped me get through the pandemic. I could rewatch seasons 1 through 3, which I had on DVD at that point. I was reading the chapters week to week. It really helped make time go by, and it was something I became really invested in. And you can't really see it, but I've got back on the shelf. I've been slowly collecting the manga. I've got like 18 volumes right now, and I've been rereading the series slowly but surely over time. And so I'm kind of at the events of season 2. But I reacted to chapter 401, and I reacted to chapter 402, which was the final chapter. And those reactions are on Patreon. Unfortunately, my original channel got deleted in December of 2020, so I didn't feel the need to repost those on YouTube, but if you're a patron, you'll get to see my reaction to chapter 402. I freaked out a lot. I was pretty much feral because it was the last chapter. I'd avoided all the spoilers. I had dreams about Oikawa the night before, and so I was really giddy going into it, and I reacted as you would expect. But I'm really excited about chapter 402.1, which is what I pulled up. I have a Viz subscription, so I have it pulled up on here. I'm really excited about it. I have seen nothing related to this chapter. I'm spoiler free. I don't know what's going to happen. It's just 20 pages of Furudate being like, mwah. And I like the Furudate, even though I'm sure they're working on another series, that they keep the fans updated with characters, with shorts, with illustrations. It's like Furudate, these are their children, and they haven't abandoned Haikyuu. They keep on putting out new art about it, and I really appreciate that. It's like they didn't just ditch it and say, okay, I'm done. They keep fans active with more content, which is great. And eventually we'll probably get season 5, and to be honest, the stuff that is my favorite in Haikyuu has not been animated yet. So if you're anime only, I really hope they do these last seasons justice because they are chef's kiss. Like the manga, it's so perfect. And the ending of Haikyuu is so wonderful and just satisfying and perfect all around that I'm like, nope, I'm happy with it. So, obviously this is spoilers, so if you are anime only, this may not be the video to watch because this is going to be building off of chapter 402. It's literally called 402.1. It's literally building off of it, but I'm really excited. So, I wanted to react to it because it's been 2 years, since I've reacted to anything manga-wise with Haikyuu, and it's been at least a year since, it's been over a year since season 4 part 2 came out, so obviously, when season 5 of Haikyuu comes out, I'm going to react to it, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But in any case, I am excited. It's been 2 years since the anime, actually. So I am excited, y'all. I can't wait to read this 20-page chapter with you and talk to y'all about it and gush about Haikyuu. People were starting to talk about it on the Discord, and I was like, I'm going to wait. I'll come back to the Discord. I'm going to go check this chapter out first and then come back so I'm not spoiled. So in any case, I hope y'all enjoy, but we're going to start this reaction here in 3, 2, 1. Oh my god. Oh my god. Why am I surprised? Why am I surprised? Furudate throws some serious shade in this chapter at the very end there. Throws some serious shade. And I don't know if y'all realized it, but I was like, oh, Furudate, you're bold, sir. Just The one thing I love about Haikyuu, and I think that it's to its benefit and to its detriment, is that Haikyuu it's all about it being fun. It is such a positive series. And yeah, I'm watching other sports anime, and Ace of the Diamond is the one I'm really watching right now. And we've talked about Haikyuu versus Ace of the Diamond in that series. And I think Ace of the Diamond has kind of made its way up to being my favorite sports anime because it is all the positivity of the sport itself, but it does deal with a lot more. It gets more into the psychology of the characters, I feel, than Haikyuu does. That is not to take away from Haikyuu, because I'm about to talk about Haikyuu for the rest of this video. But one thing about Ace of the Diamond I love is that it gets more into the psychology of the characters and the realism of the good and the bad moments. And Haikyuu has some painful moments to it, but I do commend Furudate on this, and a lot of people will consider it a downfall of Haikyuu or a negative, but Haikyuu has little moments of angst. And towards the end, I mean, there's a major moment of angst in Haikyuu. It's not happened in the anime yet. There's a major moment. If you think that the angst has happened in Haikyuu, no. No. They've had some losses, and there's been some sad moments in Haikyuu, but the angst and real sadness of Haikyuu has not been animated yet. And it's there, and it does get touched on, but Haikyuu has always been about positivity. It's always been about looking at the good in things, and it's a very glass half full series. And a lot of people may not like Haikyuu because of it, right? But what I love that Furudate has done is Furudate has basically said, like fiction is in a lot of ways about escapism. We go and read stories to make ourselves, to go to a different world than the one that we live in. And even back in 2020 when Chapter 402 came out, Furudate had this positive, uplifting message. Whereas other series at the time were going into these really dark places, Haikyuu was like, okay, yeah, there's all this darkness, but here's a ray of sunshine. Like, things can get better, and they probably will get better, and it'll be okay. And I know a lot of people are probably like, well, that's not realistic. For me, dealing with 2020, I needed that. I needed a series to be like, no, everything's going to be fine. We're in this together. We're going to be okay. And I needed that because there was so much going on in the world and in my own life at the time that I was like, no, I need that message of positivity. But man, Furudate throws the shade on there at the end, and we'll get to it. But oh my God. Oh. But yeah, so this chapter, Furudate, Haikyuu, especially in the latter portion of it, is such like a reward to fans. Like, if you stuck out 400 chapters, if you made it to like chapter 365, from chapter 365 on, it is a treat. It is like rewarding you as the reader, being like, you made it this far, you've been with these characters, now let's put characters in scenarios you never expected, let's have characters meeting characters you didn't expect, let's just see it all flourish out. And it's such a reward. I'm like, oh. And this chapter, it's like Furudate's been on Twitter being like, oh, they want to see these characters together? Okay. And it's been hinted at since like 2020, especially Atsumu and Oikawa. That's been hinted at since the cover of, I've got the light novel volume 13. I ordered it back when it came out in Japanese. I can't read a lick of it, but the cover has Oikawa and Atsumu on there. So, but Kuro, let's just talk about this chapter. Kuro being our promoter. I love that Kuro is the one to tie everybody together. And Kuro's he's such a nosy guy that of course he'd want to be up on all the tea and the gossip with everybody. He'd want to bring them all together. Of course he would. Sure. Makes sense, right? But I love this. I love how he views them all is really funny. Like, he views them all as demons, but like Hinata just has this blank look on his face. Sakasa has the lint roller, and I like Oikawa has his tongue out, and Ushijima looks serious. It's great. Oh my God. But ever since, like, it's always been established that in all the promotional art for the volumes, Kuro and Oikawa are always together, but they're never shown on screen together once until this chapter. And I'm like, oh, Furudate, you just... And it's like they're just trying to flirt each other. Oikawa's like, you're laying it on thick, aren't you? I think that Oikawa won, though, because Kuro even gets taken aback, like, oh, yeah, what? Like, Oikawa's like, oh, you want to flirt? I can flirt back even harder. It's like, I love it. I love that Kuro and them are like, well, you're just such a standout world top-class player. And Oikawa's like, top-class world star, keep talking. What a Gemini. I love it. I love that Oikawa's just like, keep talking. Keep speaking about me. Sing my praises. I love Oikawa so much. He's my favorite character in this series. I just absolutely love Oikawa. So anytime he's on screen, I'm like, I just love it. So, of course, he's in, and he's the first one we get on board. And I like that if you have read the novel, I've read a translation of the novel, and in the translation, they establish that Oikawa, when they did a sports interview around the time of chapter 402 with the Japan All-Star team, and Kuro tried to get Oikawa to come back and interview because he was a former player in Miyagi, but Oikawa turned him down. He's like, no, I don't really feel like it. And so Kuro went out and found him and appeased to him. It's like, it's a nice little continuation from that chapter, right? And of course we go from Oikawa straight to Ushijima. Like I said, I ship Oikawa with Iwaizumi first and foremost. Iwaizumi is my OTP with Oikawa. But if I had to ship him with somebody else, because I like to multi-ship, it would be Hinata, it would be Ushijima. Funny that they're like the next two characters we come in contact with, right? Well, we have Kageyama in there, but we'll talk about that. And I like that with Ushijima, we tie back. Ushijima, him becoming more fleshed out as the series goes on is so refreshing because Ushijima is such like a quiet, stern character, kind of like Kageyama. He doesn't have this flamboyant personality. So it's very easy to make Ushijima just like quiet, not say much. But here, you know, he's running and everything. But they tie Ushijima to have this like dedication that he wants kids to get invested in volleyball. Like, he's actually a really nice guy. He just is very quiet and looks intimidating. He's the Terminator, right? It's great. But he's not unmoving. Like, Kuro he's like, just so you know, Oikawa and Hinata are going to be playing for the other team. So, you know, if you just wanted to like try to crush them. And those are his biggest rivals. So of course he does. It's like the love triangle of Ushijima, Oikawa, and Hinata. It's absolutely wonderful. I love it. And then of course we go to Italy. And I love that Kageyama's made friends. They're all ruffling his hair and head patting him. It's adorable. And I like that Kageyama's become more expressive and communicative. It's great. It's so cute. But I like that how Kuro convinces Kageyama to play is very curious, right? He doesn't use Hinata as the example, which you could argue that Kageyama and Hinata have played each other multiple times at this point. So that's not really the draw, right? Kageyama's like, well, I play him all the time through various V-League competitions. Okay, sure. We're going to play against each other? Sure, okay. I mean, we do that anyway. And it's not Oikawa. We'll talk about Oikawa. But it's this Jaffe guy, old Alexandre Jaffe, who is 7'2", freaking huge, who joined the Black Jackals back in 2021. You see Unaki and you see Mia with their hands around him, like welcoming him. Okay. Sure. But yeah, so that's interesting because there's been a lot of Furudate did like a promotional picture with like it's the banner that you see of all the teams like in their uniforms of what teams they play for now, and you see that, and there's this Jaffe guy included in that. And at the time, everybody on Twitter was like, "Who the hell's this guy? Where's Mian? Mian's not in this." So Mian kind of had like a big following after chapter 402 in the Black Jackal arc. So I am sad that Mian's not in this because I do like Mian a lot. But Furudate's bringing this Jaffe guy out that has ties with Haikyuu. Okay. Haikyuu likes his boys tall and blonde, apparently. I ship Haikyuu with Lev really hard. And so the fact that Haikyuu's come with Jaffe, I'm like, I guess he's with Jaffe. He likes these super tall blonde boys. Okay. He's got a type. But yeah, I like that Kageyama is convinced by wanting to play for Jaffe. That's like what woos him over. And again, it's like his contact point is so high. And that kind of ties back to when Kageyama wanted Tsukishima to like jump high for my tosses and everything in my sets so that you can get that high contact point. Like, this is a chance for him to go it's a chance for him to explore Kageyama's potential as a setter to even new bounds, to like higher bounds. It's like, okay. And that's what gets him on board. But yeah, and then there's this conversation about Kageyama being like, oh, yeah, we're like, me and Mia are called the hot guy players. And I would imagine Mia would take it as a compliment, but Kageyama thinks that, like, he's like, well, I'm not just a hot guy. And I'm like, Kageyama, I freaking love it. And Kuro's like, oh, that's a turnoff, huh? Good to know. But Kageyama wants people to know that volleyball is an interesting sport. Ties back to his grandpa, ties back to all that. It's so wonderful. I love it so much. And so then, yeah. And then Kuro, let's establish one thing. Kuro is trying to get the contact info for Asahi and Yachan. Yeah, because he's going to get, I'm sure Asahi, he was trying to get like some marketing through him, and Yachiro, I like he calls him Yachan. That's Yachiro, right? Or Yachi, right? So, like trying to get her to do some marketing. Interesting. But let's establish one thing. At this point, Sugawara and Daichi, like Sugawara and Sawamura, they're basically married. Like, right? They're at least seeing each other because, yeah, Daichi's in the police force and Sugawara is an elementary school teacher, and they're just having dinner together on a random Tuesday. You know, they're totally together. Like, at this point, yeah, they're domestically together, sharing a home. It's established. I'm all for it. I'm all about it. And yeah, I freaking love it. But yeah, and then we have Kinma. Kinma, like, doing his pro gaming thing. You see Nishinoya in Rio de Janeiro. Nishinoya's there. I freaking love it. And then our boy Shoyo with his big, giant smile. I like that we see Asahi watching from Tenma's hallway. Like, he has his portfolio. Tenma hasn't taken out his garbage in a couple days. Might want to do that. I like that the mangaka Furudate is slowly suggesting the strenuous life of a manga creator by being like, look, Tenma hasn't even had time to take out his garbage. Like me. Like, you know, it's kind of a nice reflection. The mangaka is doing like a little self-referential thing. But yeah, Akashi is the Shonen Vi editor waiting for the chapter pages. So he's waiting on Tenma. Funny that the mangaka includes that little note there, that he's the editor. But he's watching them. I love it. Bom dia. I love it. I love it with Shoyo. And then Heitor's there. Yep. And they're like, bom dia. And then it shows Kinma like receiving the ball. Cute. So Kinma did play alongside with Shoyo. That's adorable. I love it. And his glasses fell off and he's sweating. And I love that Kuro's like, I gotta get this. Like, I do ship Kuro with Kinma. Very much so. But then Kuro is like, his eyes have like some bags under him. So I'm like, Kuro's not gotten a lot of sleep maybe. Or he usually wears like shades or something. But yeah, I love that comment that Shoyo, he's like, I'm gonna play my hardest. I promise. Like, even at the end of the day, our sunshine boy is still so pure. He's just like, I'm going to do my best. Like, even though he's a highly in-demand player, nothing's changed. He's still as humble as he was. And I love that about Shoyo. He's always very humble. Like, even as famous as he gets, he just wants to play volleyball and do his best. I'm like, I love it. And he's like, do you know who else is going to play? And he's like, oh yeah, we've got Jaffe, Ramiro, Oikawa, Ushijima. And he's like, what? I love it. Oh my God. And the rookie pair is still as terrifying as ever. Yeah, so he's just like, you and Kageyama are still just as terrifying. And I love Hinata's face of like, like what? Kageyama? I do like that. For as much shipping as we get with Kageyama and Hinata, they don't really focus on that ship in this set of chapters, which is fun because we've seen that already. Now it's a chance to get more interactions with characters we don't normally see. And so August 14th, I really hope Furudate, I am hoping that Furudate on August 14th of this year will give us another one shot of this actual match. If he does, please, because that's still a while off. He's got plenty of time to do it. They could totally do it and then spend the summer amping it up. I mean, why make it August 14th and release the chapter in April? Why release this chapter in April about an August 14th game and then end the chapter with the match just starting and not give us anything else? Come on, Furudate. Come on. I'm fully expecting Furudate to give us that match on August 14th, or for there to be like an announcement of season 5 or something. It's like Furudate setting a date. I'm like, the fandom's gonna hold you to it, Furudate. You've set your fate. Now something has to happen on August 14th. I mean, the final chapter 402 came out on Oikawa's birthday. Come on. Oh, Oikawa's not a Gemini. No, Oikawa's a Cancer, isn't he? Waiizumi is a Gemini. I got that wrong. Whoops. Okay. This panel of Mia and Oikawa is maybe the best thing Furudate has done in a long time. That, yeah, their personalities clash so much because they're so damn similar. I just need Miyana Mamoru. I need Chris Senpai's voice actor and Miyana Mamoru voicing these characters now, please. Please now. And I love Suna's like, I need this content for Instagram. I love Suna's hair. Suna's like grown his hair out and like it's all shaggy. I love it. I love Suna's look. And I love that Sakusa's like looking over going, what you doing? Like, oh, I love it. If you ship Sakusa and Atsumu, then that's a really cute little panel there. But then, of course, Oizumi is the athletic trainer, and Oizumi is like, everything's fine. We're all mature adults here, right? And Oikawa's like, I love it. I love that, of course, Oizumi's like, don't be stupid. And I ship Oikawa primarily with Oizumi, so I just love that Oikawa's like, I'm being fine. I'm totally mature. And then Goshiki! I love that Goshiki... Kanagawa would be so proud. Kanagawa would be so proud that Goshiki and Hinata are together. I really wanted to see Tsukishima in this chapter, or in the audience or something, but maybe if they do an August 14th chapter, we'll get more with that. But I love Goshiki's here. Yay! And it's going to be... So this sets up a lot of players against one another. And I love that Oikawa and Oizumi are on either sides of Hinata saying, it's Romero. Oikawa and Hinata would probably know Romero's fame. I mean, it's been established Romero is a very popular volleyball player in the series, and most players know him. But Oikawa and Hinata, because they play for Rio and Brazil and Argentina, they know him more. They have more ties to him because he's originally from that region. And Oizumi, because he's basically married to Oikawa, I love, it's funny because you see that shot of Hinata with Oizumi and Oikawa on either side of him. And I think back to the bathroom days of where Oikawa and Oizumi were on either side of Hinata looking down at him, being like, what are you doing, small fry? And now it's reversed where they're all together on equal footing. It's wonderful. It's beautiful. It's great. But yeah, so this team, we have our two setters, Miya and Atsumu, Miya and Oikawa. And then we have our outside hitters. I love Aran's. Aran is there to keep Miya in check. I am fully convinced. Aran is there to keep Miya in check. Romero's there because he's awesome. And he wants to play with Ninja Shoyo. How perfect. Sakusa is there to also keep Miya in check. Goshiki is there because it's going to be interesting. Because you're going to have Goshiki versus Ushijima. There's going to be that. I need this chapter, Furudate. I need this match because it's going to be Goshiki as an outside hitter versus Ushijima. Like, I want to see how much Goshiki's grown, and to compete against Ushijima on the front lines, I want to see that. Jaffe's over on the other team, and he's from Misby. So that's going to be Sakusa and Miya against him. Aran's there. You have Hirugami and Gao, who are both, like, former players with Hoshiumi against Hoshiumi as middle blockers. So that's going to be cool to see them against Hoshiumi. That's going to be awesome. And then you have Komori working with Sakusa, of course. Komori's like my favorite Libro. Him and Haikyuu are my favorite Libros. So I'm excited that they're there. Hiwajima, we could see him. He was the Adler's Libro. Sweet. So it'd be him against Ushijima too. And then Suna. So Suna working alongside Miya and Aran again. I just love it. It's so good. But then we're going to talk about Team B. Okay, again, giving Ushijima some more character development. He's talking about cooking. We could discern that Ushijima has probably been learning about cooking from Tendo. So if you ship Tendo and Ushijima together, there's that. So I like that. And then I like that Kageyama and Ushijima's friendship is really good. And if you look there, you see that Kageyama and Ushijima seem like they're both doing, like, maybe Ushijima might be cleaning his shoes, but Kageyama's doing like the hand filing thing. And Bokuto, this chaos. I love the fact that Bokuto and Hoshiumi seem like on polar opposite spectrums. And now Hoshiumi's like, God, Hinata, you had to deal with Bokuto all this time. Because Bokuto's just like, oh, you're talking about food, right? Charcoal? That's charcoal, right? And they're all like, just like they do the Kermit the Frog, like just like tilt over to Bokuto. I love it. Bokuto is the spice of chaos that is needed for, Atsumu and Oikawa together on the same page is enough chaos. So we had to move Bokuto over to give chaos to Kageyama and them. I love it. Bokuto's like bulked up. He is our thick boy. But then we have Jaffe's here. I love they're just all thinking, it's Jaffe. Who the hell is Jaffe? They're really playing him up, right? And Haikyuu just like shows up in his suit from Russia being like, sup, what's happening? Great. Yeah. And so then we have Yamamoto and Hyakuzawa. Hyakuzawa thinking that Yaku and Jaffe look like the polar bear and the mouse from Zootopia is hilarious. And I can't believe Furudate got away with that without copyright. It's amazing. Maybe he paid off Disney. I don't know. But, oh my God. So, yeah. So, interestingly enough, we have, we've got our Izuna. Izuna's the one I wanted to comment. Izuna is the former captain of Sakusa's team and Komori's team back in high school of Itachiyama. So he's the former captain there. So that's going to be interesting, seeing Sakusa against his former captain. That's really cool. And then you have Kageyama and Bokuto. Bokuto is playing with Kiryu, and they were formal rivals. Their stuff hasn't happened yet in the anime, but they were formal rivals. That's amazing. Then you have Hoshiumi. You have Yamamoto. Yamamoto as an outside hitter is interesting in this. I feel like not to turn down Yamamoto, not to turn him down any. I feel like that was Kuro and Kima being like, "Hey, you want to play on this team, old buddy, old pal?" I don't dislike Yamamoto. I was just like, he's like one of the odd choices out. Him and Jaffe are like the really odd ones. Like, okay, you made it here. Interesting. Okay, it's fun. And then Ushijima on there. And then we have Jaffe, who's smiling and looks like just a Cheshire cat there. But then Washio, so Washio versus Suna. That all makes sense. Again, Yamamoto doesn't have any really established rivals in this game, so him and Jaffe feel like the odd ones out. I feel like Kuro and Kima did their buddy a solid by being like, "Hey, can you be in this game with us?" Hyakuzawa is going to be fun because him playing against Shoyo, and Shoyo, if he's an opposite, it's going to be fun to tie that all back together. And then I love Inunaki. Inunaki's a great Libero, and he was with Mizby, so it's going to be him against Mia and them. And then, of course, Hyakyuu, which Hyakyuu is just an amazing Libero, so why would you not have him on the team? Like, he's proven himself to be, like, on the national Japan team. So, yeah, we see, like, everybody has different jerseys on. There's, like, some with Ushijima, some with Romero, some with Bokuto, some with Hinata jerseys. Some have, like, Kageyama's jerseys. It's really cute. And then you see the reporters and everything. You see Kyoko and then with the cameras. And then it looks like, Kinma is there with their old coach. That's so cute, right? Is that Lev there too with them? I think it might be Lev with the old coach too. Lev and Kinma might be watching Yaku and them play with the old coach from Nekama. Okay, here's where it's around page. What page are we on? Around page 22 or page 14 and 15, where Furudate throws some shade. And I'm like all for it. But it says, no matter who loses or who wins, no one is going to die. No one will come back to life either. And then we see Onigiri Miya. So we see Osamu Miya, the one Miya brother there, selling stuff there. Evil won't flourish across the land. And you see, there's Tadashi. He's there to watch. Yes. And then you see, oh my God, the setter, Kanagawa. Okay, so that's why Kanagawa is not there. He's a setter. That'd be too many setters. Okay, so yeah, you see him setting to Tsukishima. So Tsukishima did make an appearance. I was so floored by this one page that I didn't really notice what was going on in the background. But Tsukishima is there, and Kanagawa is setting for him. Yes, that's all I wanted was our chicken boy, our rooster hair to set for Tsukishima. I love it. Our tall setter and Tsukishima. The world won't be destroyed. And then Cloudy Sports Club Kids Volleyball. And it looks like maybe semifinals or something like that. And there's Tanaka helping the kids. And there's Kyoko helping the girl pick out shoes, as a married couple does. But my point is, before I got distracted by Onigiri Miya and Tsukishima and Kanagawa, I'm happy to see them again, is that there's so much shade thrown in this one page of Furudate's. He's like, yeah, this isn't like the other manga that you read where the world's getting destroyed and people are dying and there's death and destruction everywhere. This is a happy story. I'm like, I feel like it's throwing so much shade towards like Attack on Titan and My Hero Academia and other series being like, yeah, evil's not flourishing in this land. Like, we're not having death and destruction. This is just a happy story about how fun sports are. Like, that's all it is. And I know that a lot of people will be like, well, that's not how the real world is, or that's not a fleshed out, that's not a deep story, or that story isn't as rich as these other ones, and that's fine. But I think what Furudate is saying is it doesn't have to be. Not every story has to be about death and destruction and evil and the battle of good versus evil. Like, Furudate is like, not every story has to be like that. Because Haikyuu, the thing about Haikyuu is there are no bad guys. There's not really any antagonists. Most of the time, the antagonist is yourself in Haikyuu, like your own limits that you set for yourself and having to overcome your own personal hurdles. That's a big part of Haikyuu. And the inspiring thing about Haikyuu is that it is feel good. You do feel good seeing these characters succeed and interact with one another and do good. Like, it's like, do you need a shot of serotonin in your system? Do you need just pure sugar and just happiness? read Haikyuu and you'll feel happy. And I feel like for a lot of people, like, yeah, I'm not going to lie, I'm welcoming this because, yeah, you have those stories that deal with death and destruction and good versus evil and morality and political issues and lots of other things. And I love those series so much. But there is a part of me that's like, I need this occasionally. I need some doses of Haikyuu in my life to make me have some inspiration and happiness. Like, I'm totally fine with that. But I love it. I'm like, go Furudate. Furudate standing up for their reasoning for creating this story. I'm all about it. And maybe they didn't intend to throw any shade. Maybe it was just Furudate saying, this is the story that I created. This is why I want to tell it. And this is my story, so I can tell it however I like. I'm like, respect. And then for Kuro to say, come on, world, let's play sports together. And that is the one cool thing about this series, especially like with this game, is that these players on these teams are from all across the world playing together. And let's all get absorbed by the fun of running around this 9 by 18 meter rectangle, trying to make the ball hit the floor there, but not here. Yeah, and let's get this party started. God, I love it. I love it. And everybody's together. Asi, he's watching and talking to Sugawara and Daichi on the phone. Yep. And then we have the teams against. I really like the black and teal. I have to admit, the black and teal jerseys are really cool. And then we have the gold and white, right? Very, very cool. Jaffe just, it's great. But yeah, Furudate, you can't set this up and not give us this game. You can't. There's too much gold. There's too many moments you can mine from this. There's too much setup. There's too much that could be perfect. I refuse to think Furudate is not going to give us anything. I can't. I'm like, no way. Furudate is going to give us something in August. He has to. If we don't get a continuation of this, even if it's just like a chapter or two, that's how they hook you. Furudate's like, you want some more? It's literally sugar. If you're addicted to sugar, that's what this is like. You just want more. I needed this so badly. This was wonderful. So many good moments. Furudate knows just how to cram enough fan service into 22 pages to make you just absolutely it's like just a shot of sugar. And I love it. So I'm very curious to know your thoughts down below. If we get season 5 of Haikyuu, I am most certainly reacting to it. Unfortunately, when I started my channel, I had already watched seasons 1 through 3 and part 1 of season 4. So the only reactions I have on my channel are for part 2 of season 4, and they're early reactions, so my lighting and stuff is all weird. I was a beginner person in this. I didn't know what I was doing, and I still don't know what I'm doing. So nothing's changed, right? Just like Hinata. But I am excited for season 5 to come out. I'm excited if we get more chapters on this. That's going to be so much fun. But yeah, in the meantime, I'm excited to hear your comments down below. I hope you enjoyed this reaction. But in the meantime, I hope you all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care, and yeah, hopefully I'll be back sometime soon with more Haikyuu. Bye.